All right, well, good morning, everybody. I'm Jan Erickson from Stepping Aside, and welcome to Somewhat Daily Tarot and Rune for the 6th day of July, 2020. Well, here we are. It's a Monday. Higher self energy is governing today. Fortunately, there's a sextile between Mars and the Moon that will help us with some motivation and all of that today. But we'll see how that goes. Sometimes when you have an issue, an aspect between the Moon and Mars, it can cause real conflict between will and emotions. But but not today. So not with that. Well, let me get my card. I'm throwing him down already. What was it? Let's see. Oh, it's the Ten of Pentacles. Oh, I love that card. That is a very cool card. But in any event, we're in Aquarius right now with the Moon, so intellect over emotions is favored. But you should have a little motivation with all of that in terms of sharing information with others. Lots of new information is coming out about the virus every single day. Just try to stay up to date about it so that you know what's going on currently, where the outbreaks are, where, social distancing isn't being done, and, where it's like they're forgetting that, we're in the middle of a pandemic. So I don't know. Having rallies where the chairs are zip tied together, I don't know. It doesn't seem to make sense to me. And if I were the president of the country, I would be worried about people suing the country. I really would. What liability does he have? What responsibility does our government have here to stop him from doing these things during the middle of a pandemic? I don't know. I think we have a lot of responsibility to do that, but nobody's doing it. They're letting him get away with it, bringing everybody together, forcing this. Who does he think he is? Yeah, well. Yeah, we saw Mr. Epstein's friend get arrested this weekend, huh? Yeah. Well, we'll see what happens there. Anyhow, I think I've shoveled enough. Let's go ahead and get started. Just pay attention this week to stuff that comes out. It could be a really interesting week. A lot of Supreme Court stuff is happening right now. I know that one thing they decided was they ruled on the idea of the delegates at for the Electoral College, that you cannot, if your state, in other words, they have to vote in the Electoral College the way the state voted. So if the state votes for one guy or one girl or what have you, then they have to do that. They can't then go and decide, well, no, I think I'm going to vote this way. They can't do that. No, if they're going there, if they're going to be the ones to do that on our behalf, which is ridiculous, it should be the popular vote that wins. But we're still doing this, and so at some point that'll end, There won't be an electoral college anymore. There can't. It's just ridiculous. But now we've got this ruling that says, no, you can't vote the way you want to. You've got to vote the way your state tells you to. See? Yeah. It's like we get all these people that want to go rogue all the time about everything. They don't want to follow the rules. They don't want to follow anything. It's like, well, I'm here now. No matter how we've done it for the last couple hundred years, so what? I'm here now. We're going to do it my way. That's what we've got going on right now. And I think that what we're seeing is a return to the awareness and understanding that we're in this together. We've got to be on a shared path. We can't have people going rogue and doing whatever they please. It harms people. We've experienced it in our personal lives when we've had experiences like this where someone else runs amok and people get harmed. People are standing around going, whoa, how'd we get here? Why is this going on? Yeah, it's that kind of situation, right? Well, that's kind of what's happening now. It's like, we either would get on this shared path or I don't know what happens here. We all got to agree that this is where we're going and this is how we're going to get there. Right? Well, First card, ooh, Seven of Swords. If this is your first time here, welcome. I just chat a little bit while I shuffle. I don't like to have, if I don't spend a whole bunch of time shuffling, I invariably get at least one of the same cards I just drew the day before, or if I just did another reading of, say I did a reading for the blog or something, the same cards are going to come up every single time. So I just shuffle like crazy to make sure that doesn't happen. And then I take the 13th one each time so that everything's random. I just don't want to have any of my shuffling or anything influence this reading. And so that's how I do this. So here we have the Seven of Swords, leveling the playing field. I'm an author, you know, as well as I published the blog, Stepping Aside. I'm also an author. And so I've always looked at this card of theft of intellectual property, but in truth, it's likely leveling the playing field. And we'll talk about that here as soon as we get all three. We'll lay down for 3 cards first. If we need more, we'll take them. If not, then we'll move on to the rune from the Elder Futhark out of the bag. And then we'll close out with the Geomancy rune, sort of drawing everything together. Look at some earth energies and see how that all impacts things. So let's do our second card. Oh, Judgment. I don't spell it with an E after the G, but whatever. 20th card of the Major Arcana, Soul Archetype. Now, some of your non-traditional decks change some of the names, and whereas I believe, I'm not sure if it's the Judgment card that I think one has renamed it Eon, one has renamed it Rebirth, but that's basically what you're doing. But the notion of judgment in this particular card has a religious connotation to it, and we're going to talk about it a little different way. You aren't judged, okay? This is no, but we'll talk about that. So hang on for the third card. Oh. See, it really depends on what perspective you have. Are you these bodies? Are you going from the perspective of this physical form, you know, and all of the information other physical forms give you, or are you going from the standpoint of spirit, knowing what you know about what's the real truth here? Okay, and I think this notion of, you know, we have to do good works to work our way back to the Creator. No, we just have to remember we are an aspect of the Creator, and understand that we have a tremendous amount of power to manifest our will in any way we choose. We can then hand it over to the ego to sit and react on all over the place. We can do that. And that's what we do, really, isn't it? But we shouldn't. We really shouldn't. So let's go ahead and you know what? I'm going to put Judgment at the end. Let's talk about no. Okay. You can move your cards around in tarot, by the way, even on a planned, you know, if you're using a set type of spread that you're using, like Celtic Cross or past, present, future, whatever, you can even move them around in that, and you should. Make them talk to one another. If they're court cards, if they're some major cards that got people in them, make them talk to one another. Make them, or if they will, I mean, sometimes they don't have anything to say to one another at all, but it can really enhance your reading if you do that. So move your cards around. It's your reading. Do whatever you want to with it. It's got to make sense. You know, you can try looking at it the way you lay it down, and maybe that's the way it needs to be. But I think what we're talking about here is a change of perception. With Judgment. But I think we're going to leave the cards in the order, and we're going to start with the 7. We're going to talk, because I think that the change in perception comes from this. Okay? So let's talk about the 7 first. Now, 7, the number 7 is about balance. It's about creation. It's magic. It's harmony. It's letting things come to rest. It's the scales. But it's observation. Now, here we have in the background, we see the men over here, the soldiers. We see tents. We see a tent here. We see some here. They're either setting up to go after this town next to them that they want to pillage and plunder and take over. All right. They're either setting up to do that, or, but they're doing something to prepare. Okay, maybe they're hitting one town after the other, right, as they go along. They're conquering this place and this place and this place. And so what we have here is we have a guy who is running off with the swords. Left two of them. But swords is the intellect. It's the air element. It's reason, it's strategy, it's justice, it's fairness, it's balance. Did I say that? I think maybe I already said that. But if you're going to remove 5 of them, then you're disrupting the balance, aren't you? But why would he do that? Well, he's not dressed in the attire of a soldier, of a knight, of any of that. He's not part of the king's guard. He's not part of the royalty. He's someone that might have infiltrated, maybe provided food for them, but he's actually from the town. And he's going to make off with some of their strategy. They left it all out in the open. They're not concerned about anybody taking their battle plans back to their enemy, in a sense. Although in this case, it's likely just the townspeople. You see the delineation right here between here and then, all right? So this is leveling the playing field. The townspeople don't have the armaments to deal with what's coming. So if they can know what the battle plans are, then maybe they can take what they do have and they can make better use of it. In other words, it's really, if you know what's going on behind the scenes, because you know something is, as long as you can try to figure out what that is. And again, are you going to sit and react your way through life, or are you going to take a step back with the 7 and say, well, let me see what's really going on here. What am I looking at? What am I seeing here? What's really going on? And that's the effort today, to try to figure that out. We got to figure out what's really going on. If there are people who you're involved with that are undermining something, you've got to know it. If they're acting without authority, you must know that. You see, it could just be a matter of stopping people from doing what they're doing. In this case, though, it seems to indicate issues of power that are involved, and authority, or at least the insistence of authority. The king has no reason at all to have anything to do with these people. These people are fine on their own. They're not even part of his kingdom, right? That's the whole point of it. Not even part of the kingdom. And yet they're going to move in and take anyway. And conquer and control when they don't have any right to do so. So when you have that understanding, right? When you experience a change in perception about what's really going on, you have a rebirth of sorts, don't you? You have an awakening of sorts. And that's really what judgment is. It's remembering that you're spirit, and that you have a greater understanding of what's going on. You can access spirit and know. It's the realm that empaths access, that they never give up. That awareness within of the collective consciousness and the collective awareness that we all share when we're in non-physical form, when we're just soul. Because when we're in non-physical, how else do we communicate? We're part of that greater resonance of the Creator, and where all is known. There's no secrets there. We communicate telepathically, or what would be considered telepathically here. We're just in our natural state. And the natural state is one of knowing, of the collective. So, we've learned a thing or two. We've transformed our perceptions about it. Yes, we're all standing naked out of our caskets. But, we're focused on spirit. So whether you think about it as a change in status, if you will, from death to rebirth, okay, but we experience that with the death of perception. We don't have, our bodies don't have to die to experience that energetic exchange, right? That movement into awareness to where we know what's going on now. We know what they did. We know that they're pulling something here, and that they're trying to impose their will on a group of people that are looking at them like, what? What are you doing? Why are you here? Leave us alone. If you're going to bother us this way, then leave. Just go. Just leave, right? We don't need this kind of stuff. Upsetting things and leaving us all at risk, because that's what's happening here. If they don't come and level the playing field, if they don't come and learn the strategy, if they don't figure out what's going on behind the scenes about what's about to happen to them, how do they stop it? How do they make it stop now? If it's happening right now, how do they get it to stop, or how do they stop it before it happens? How does that town, in other words, or how does that tribe, or how does that group protect themselves from this band of unruly people who are all mixed up in what they ought to be doing? If you don't do that, you have to awaken. You have to let your perceptions transform into something else. The cross that's there, right next to the horn, Angel Gabriel blowing his horn. The cross is not a religious thing. It's about healing. It's about the healing of perception. Where's my pen? Oh, there it is. So when we look at the cross, you've got spirit, form, / ego, and here is the abyss. We focus in, and there we go. Ideally, when people go through ascension and they understand they're actually spirit, and that spirit having a physical experience, then we'll likely hover right around the center. But right now, we're anywhere from that line all the way down to the bottom. And those of us that are truly ego-bound, we're right down there at the bottom. Most of us, though, I think hover above that. The truly enlightened, though, are right in the center. There you're talking about truly enlightened people that have been here. They're either there or above, because they're likely higher energies that have come into that body to then, change the world. So that's all done by design to affect big change, around the whole planet with everyone. And so that's why you'll see people that come in that they're just special. And they, even if it's just somebody in your community, they just seem to have this profound effect on people, and they change people's lives in the process. Your manifestations, the religious leaders, whether it was Jesus or Muhammad or any of them that were considered, these were divine masters that incarnated here to create and effect great change amongst humanity, to try to elevate humanity spiritually, getting them to, again, understand that energetic exchange between spirit and form in a way that we still are struggling with. It's the basis for patriarchy. It's the basis for all of the problems in our world, is that imbalance between, and that lack of understanding of who we are as souls inhabiting these bodies for a short time to learn about these experiences of tangible form. It's time to raise the frequency, to get out of that cycle and move into something that's more divine oriented, more soul-based. And there it'll be more harmony. We won't have the issues of third dimension that we have right now. We won't have this. So it's time to move out of that willful blindness and understand who we are as spirit. And then when we make that transition of awakening, we can then move forward in abundance. You see here, you've got the tree of life, all of the pentacles arranged in the tree of life. 10 is a number of new beginnings. It's also a number of it's a number for transition, because here you have the older man here. You see the archway. You see the archway here. I'm doing like a weather person. You see the archway here, and you see the young people on the other side. Likely, one of them is his kid or something. You see the grandchild here. You see the dogs surrounding his master. You see the grapes around him, suggesting abundance, and the legacy transferred on, the legacy that's passed on, tradition, the Akashic record, all contained within this card. Cycles and transitions, transitioning from one experience to another, the passing of the baton, the passing of the knowledge. What you can't do is assume you know without that passage happening. It's the willingness to listen to the truth of the past and the experiences of those who have gone before you, and using that to foster a better perception of things. Allow that change to take place, allow awakening to take hold, so that you can then understand who we all are together and the truth of all that. I don't think we need another card, do you? Let's see, we've got, 7 and 2 is 9, 10. So again, this is the energy of new beginnings, a 1 energy for today's reading. Let's take a look at the rune, though. We're doing pretty well on time. I let the runes, I do this with buying runes. I set my intention, and then I'll just let runes fall through my hands, and whenever the last one's there, that's one of them. And usually on a bind rune, I'll do 3 to 5 runes, but for this one, I just do the 1. We have Gebo, balanced energy exchange, the light of spirit informing everything. You can look at this as Isa twice in balance. Where's my piece of paper? We'll draw this out. We'll explode Gebo out. But Gebo is the, again, I believe it's the 7th rune. Yeah, 7th rune of the Elder Futhark. So again, balanced energy exchange with others. Here you have Gebo, which is Isa twice. So will alignment in spirit. But we're going to cross them. And when we do that, we have Kenaz in all directions, expressed outward. As above, so below, to my left, to my right, all around, within and without. So even just a simple X pattern can indicate the light of spirit, an alignment in higher self perceptions and higher self energies, okay? And I think that when you understand what's going on, the truth of the matter, you then awaken and you realize the path you need to be on. And it's one of shared purpose. And we talk about this every single day, don't we? But that's what this is in this 22 year, this cosmic builder year. 22 is a master number, so is 11, so is 33. 11 is awakening, 22 is the cosmic builder, soul, profound soul level manifestation. That's what that means. 33 is Christ consciousness, and no, we're not talking Jesus. That's not what that is. He was just a representative of Christ consciousness. He came to bring Christ consciousness here and awaken people. That's why he was here. And that's why he had the message that he had. It was to awaken us to the idea of Christ consciousness. That higher frequency of awareness and being that we all started out at, but then things happened and things got reduced to what we have now. And now we're just trying to work our way out of that whole experience so that we awaken to who we are as source presence, as the soul manifested into form. But it's the soul manifested into form. It's not the form. It's not the ego. It's not the personality. It's the soul that should be driving this experience. And that's what we're awakening to. Because in a sense, that's the best of ourselves, is the soul. The ego, on the other hand, it's iffy, isn't it? Yeah. So if you want the best of it, the expression, you express yourself from spirit and not be in this reactive state all the time. It's tough. I mean, it's tough. I have a horrible time with it. It's just, you want to react to everything because it's like, oh my God, but you've got to take a step back and you've got to look at it from a more dispassionate place, from the place of spirit, to where you can kind of understand, well, okay, this person's misbehaving, but maybe they chose this. Maybe they want to see what this is like. So this is the kind of stuff they chose before coming here. Yes, it's problematic, but maybe we need to just let them work that out. Again, maybe we're just in a situation where, does it really need to be dealt with so directly? Or maybe can we just say, hey, we're on to you, knock it off. We're going to go over here while you work this out, right? So it's that kind of understanding. It's understanding that what maybe someone is maybe this is somebody who's dealing with trauma, okay, and they're acting out. So you're going to react to it and make it worse, or are you going to be loving? At least drop resistance and not add to it. That's what I'm talking about embracing the 7 energy and looking at things dispassionately from a higher self perspective. You'd be surprised. It's not that you ignore problems, but that you just try to understand the greater message behind them. And then maybe you don't react as much. Maybe you just leave people to themselves to deal with whatever they're dealing with, and you don't get into it with them. I mean, obviously, if what they're doing is really affecting everything, you're going to have to. But again, it's not taking the bait right in that instant. Because your focus is only on something that isn't maybe real, not in the bigger term. All right, that's all I'm saying. So let's see what we have for the geomancy rune today. Oh, what's this one? Oh, that's fire. That's got to go up there. Oh, well, all right. Do we have acquisitio? Oh, we do. Do we? No. What do I have? Do I have albus? Rubeus. Ooh, we have rubeus. Okay. Turn that off. All right. Now, we all know the name Rubeus from Harry Potter. Albus and Rubeus. Well, they're geomancy runes. Anyway, geomancy can be done a lot of different ways. Pendulums could be considered that. But this is just an interesting system. It's from a long time ago. I don't really know how many people use it anymore, but I like it. But I like runes, so, I do rune magic. So anyway, this is Rubeus. We've got passive influences for fire, water, and earth, and an active influence for, the single dot would be an active influence for air. So fire, water, and earth are passive, and air is active, which tells you whatever's happening here with the kingdom behind there, the soldiers behind there, the king's men, the Knights Templar, the soldiers back there. That's a Rubeus energy. That is lack of impulse control on an adult level. The youthful version of that is poor, but that's little boy energy, and so you forgive them for that. I mean, if you raise boys like I did, they can get into stuff. They can do things. They get excited. They get carried away, and all of a sudden, mom or dad's there going, "What are you doing? You can't do that. You're gonna get hurt. Don't do that." Well, that's youthful. Rubeus is a little more focused. In fact, geomancers of old, who were likely men, seem to be anyway, lightweights. Anyway, they would say, with rubeus, with carcer, with cauda draconis, if you drew them on the first throw, either of the three, you had to destroy the reading because it was just too evil to continue. Well, we're not doing that. We're going to continue, and to just understand that there's some interesting things going on, likely with this particular card here, in terms of what's happening back here. And you're going to have to definitely level the playing field today so that you can understand what's really going on, take a step back, see the bigger picture, understand whatever nonsense is at work, and then you're going to have to awaken to what you need to do. You're going to have to awaken to the understanding of what's really going on. If you have been duped, if you've been conned, if you thought things were okay and now you suddenly discover that they're not, there may be some reluctance in that moment to really believe it, but you're going to have to. You're going to have to embrace what the truth is. If it means that you've got to deal with some people you don't feel comfortable doing that with, maybe they're friends, maybe you're going to have to sit friends down and say, guys, you've gone too far here. If it's like a big group of people or something that's being affected by it, you may have to do that. But the bottom line is the truth has to come out, and the truth of what's going on has to come out, and understand that it's manipulative energy that's at the bottom of it. Whether you're now, if you want to extrapolate that into what's going on in our society right now, with respect to the virus, we have a president who is willfully blind. Now, we're all going to probably find out at some point down the road why he chose to be willfully blind. But at this moment, all we have to think is that he's being willfully blind about the virus. And he's not going to keep us safe. He's not going to encourage masks to be worn. He's not going to wear one himself. He's going to continue to have rallies where people are going to be contagious as all get out. If it's true what they're saying, that the virus mutated once it left China, and it is now not necessarily more destructive, but it's just more contagious now. And what people are reporting after they're supposedly get well, they're not well. They're not. They're having all kinds of health concerns that they're having to cope with now because of this. So what the heck was this? What is this? My goodness. But the problem is, it could have all been, it had the whole world collectively given it nowhere to go, then it burns out. It burns out with the individual. So you isolate people that are sick. And then everybody else has either got to reduce their opportunities for exposure by either staying home, or if they do go out, they've got to wear protection, and that means a mask and gloves. Maybe eye protection. One doctor thought that he was so careful, he ended up getting it. He thinks he got it through the eyes, that he didn't have goggles on when he was out and about. Didn't have eye protection, anything. And he thinks that's the only way that it could have happened. And he may be correct on that, because he literally, he knows how to protect himself. It was the one thing he said he didn't do. Not at the hospital, mind you, but in his personal life, he didn't do that. And he thinks that may be how it happened. Because that's an opening, right? It's an opening for virus to come in, is in your eyes. But had we all been told this, had we all been educated about this, and have everybody speaking with one voice from the federal government down through the state governments, if we were all on the same page, I have to think that we wouldn't be where we are now. But we chose not to do that, and it was predicated on what happened in the federal government's level. Getting in the way of states getting what they need, stopping that, confiscating things on tarmacs. That's supposed to be that these states have purchased out of our taxpayer money. They've purchased it, and then they don't get it. One native tribes asked for, because they're being decimated, by the way. One tribe asks for PPE supplies. They get sent body bags. What the heck is that? A court had to get involved and say, send them their stuff. Still don't know if it's happened. So then they bring everybody together at Mount Rushmore on Lakota land. Yeah. Yeah, something's wrong here. Something's wrong. And we're going to find out ultimately. But right now, keep your own counsel, know what you know, and do the right thing. And for the love of all that is holy, wear a mask and gloves when you go out. Take all precautions. Do not cross-contaminate when you get into your car. Do not cross-contaminate when you come into your home. Don't cross-contaminate anything. Think in terms of that. Think about how and when I go from one environment into another, what am I bringing in there? We don't know what we don't know, and it's nutty to not protect yourself and everyone else. It's just nutty. That's why we've got what we got. So I say this every day, but yeah, because even as the precautions you take, it could still happen. I mean, you might not realize it. Maybe 1 second you weren't as attentive as you should have been. And someone else was there who was taking no precautions at all. So I think that we're not done with this. We're not even out of the first phase of it. And it's because of behavior that we're not. Not because of the virus, because of behavior. I mean, can you imagine that? All the people that could be alive if the government in all forms would have all been on the same page and saying, look, guys, this is serious right away. But oh no. Yeah, we're going to have to figure out why that happened. So, and we will. So anyway, that's all I got. Again, this is a day of awakening with the judgment card. Know what you know and let it transform you. Things are happening that should not be happening, whether it's in your personal life or whether it's in the greater collective that we're all experiencing together. And so know what you know, find out, figure it out. And again, don't give yourself away. Don't sacrifice your own sense of values and purpose for someone else's negligence, okay? It's only going to hurt us all in the end. And we don't need this anymore. We need to get beyond this. Enough's enough. We all ought to be able to go about and do what we need to do, protected. If we would just do that. No reason that businesses can't be open, no reason at all. We just have to do it differently. We can. We're resilient. We're smart. We can do it. Just got to do it. I don't know. Anyway, that's it. We'll talk tomorrow. This is going to go up on the blog on the side panel, so you can check it out there or on YouTube or wherever else I happen to post it. But thanks so much for coming by, and click subscribe if you haven't. I'd love you to do that. And come back tomorrow. So be good to yourself. Be good to one another. Wear a mask, and blessed be.